I do want to be closer to my spouse than anyone else. I feel like that is the sort of pact that we made.
Why should I expect him to tell me everything? I don't want to know everything. That's not my place to know everything. I'm his wife, I'm not his life.
There's a lot of loneliness and a lot of isolation, and so it's just a way of connecting.
He just needs to tell his same old stories that I've heard before to other people. Go for it, pal.
Issues.
I used to think is that such a big deal? Hi, Daphne Brogdon from Cool Mom. Are you having an emotional affair? I'm taking this from an essay in Red Book all about having an emotional affair. The expert there says that an emotional affair is when you are sharing more with another person emotionally than you are with your spouse. I love confiding in my other friends, and not only do I confide in things that maybe I don't tell my husband, there's things that he could care less about. It's good to have that other valve to talk to.
I do want to be closer to my spouse than anyone else. I feel like that is the sort of pact that we made, or as close at least. And I definitely don't like the feeling of thinking that other people know something about my husband that I don't know. Finding something like that out could be very intense. And I think I would be less likely to forgive an emotional affair than a physical one.
I don't think you should call it an affair, for one, and I don't think that it's a bad thing to have relationships outside your marriage. I have plenty of relationships outside my marriage. My husband has relationships outside of our marriage. There are plenty of women that he talks to, that he tells things to, that he wouldn't tell me. That's fine. Why should I expect him to tell me everything? I don't want to know everything. That's not my place to know everything. I'm his wife, I'm not his life.
Oh, a really juicy topic. Crazy popular topic on the confessional. I did a search just to get a sense of how many people had talked about them just in the last year or so, and we had over 300 confessions. We had women saying, I'm having one, I don't feel guilty about it, it's actually not threatening to my marriage, it's fine, all the way to women saying, I had one, it was the most destructive thing, I gave up my marriage, I tried to pursue a real relationship with this person, that was a disaster, biggest regret of my life.
When you get to the point where you feel like you have anything to hide, where you think, I don't really think I could tell my husband about that entire interaction. Or like, my husband knows my email password, maybe I should get a different email account. Whoo! That's like danger, Will Robinson, danger. That should be the moment when your impulse, instead of taking you toward an emotional affair, should take you toward a marriage counselor.
But you know, I'm happy for my husband to have somebody else to talk to sometimes. Because sometimes we just need a new audience. I've got my straight guy friends, my gay friends, my female friends, and even with the straight friends, guy friends, when there's like a little flirting, like, wow, Daph, look at your big nursing breasts, you know? Now, would I run and go tell my husband that? No, but I wouldn't actively hide it.
There are plenty of people I talk to about things that I don't talk to Hal about. Sometimes I even blog about issues and scenarios and situations that I haven't talked to him about. You know, very commonly he reads my blog and says, I didn't know that happened to you, or I didn't know that happened, or I didn't know you felt that way. Because sometimes I just feel more comfortable writing about it to strangers than I do talking about it to him. I'm not emotionally monogamous.
I'm not talking about emotional monogamy. Like you can't have anybody else in whom you confide or who you have any kind of like interaction with. I think there's a big difference between emotional sustenance and having an affair. Like there are lots and lots of people with whom I can discuss deep things that I'm comfortable telling Brian that we had that conversation afterward. Or maybe I wouldn't go tell him, but I don't think it would be anything he would be concerned about. You know what I mean?
I think especially for women, for the mothers at least on my site, there's a lot of loneliness and a lot of isolation. And so it's just a way of connecting. You know, I do think it's a really slippery slope for people to sort of not to expose themselves. I think that can be normal. You know, you do put a persona out there online that you might not in your real life, in your offline life. But I think once you start this exchange, this back and forth, they just get pulled in and they start, getting this validation and this support that they're not getting, certainly not getting with their partners.
There are times, where I meet people and it's that sort of emotional one-night stand. Like a good example is on an airplane. Every time I sit down on an airplane, especially when I'm flying alone, I always end up having these like amazing conversations with the person I'm sitting next to. And I feel like, you can say a lot to a person that you're never going to see again.
If you're on the airplane, and I'm with you, I've made some great friends on airplanes. And when I was single, I even hooked up some on airplanes. Not like Mile High, but like, let's talk later. I think the problem would be, though, is if that spilling your guts out airplane friend became an ongoing thing.
I think this begs the question, what really do we consider an emotional affair? And for me, I think I take it fairly literally that an emotional affair is something that could potentially lead to a physical affair. I don't know if those relationships we have with other women or other men, virtually, or I guess even offline, in person, would be considered emotional affairs that are as dangerous as I think the other kind of emotional affairs are.
The conversation is happening now at Momversation.com.